trip to Europe, stopping over in 5 major cities: Paris, Amsterdam, Berlin, Prague, and Vienna. And I guess now I'm going to talk about those cities. Our first stop after Paris was Amsterdam, and that's actually where we met up with our Kontiki group. Now, I was on a very short little Kontiki called... Eastern Rocker! That's the one! And it's part of like a much longer tour, so I was there for the first week-ish of a lot of other people's like 23-day long tour, whatever. I don't know. Amsterdam is famous for a few things. Really cute buildings, really cute canals, bicycles, weed, sex. So, surprise, surprise, on the first night we went to a sex show. I was a little shocked, but it was great. I will never forget it. I was very impressed by this one woman who pulled a 5-meter long string of pearls out of her, vagina, which was very impressive. I've never really thought about the storage capacity of my... There was also a male stripper, and I may have gone up on stage as a volunteer. I got picked up and swayed around and thrusted on, and it was the first time on the trip that I was like, I'm going to die on stage at the hands of a male stripper. What will my mother think? So I'm also gonna just cut a long and embarrassing story short and just say that I touched a strange man's penis on stage in front of a room full of other strangers. And it was, The next day in Amsterdam, I actually got a chance to go and see the things that I wanted to see. And the only things that were really on my list were cute buildings and canals. So needless to say, after about half an hour, I was like, cool, I'm done. So I ended up actually spending most of the day talking to a Polish tattoo artist. But she was actually really interesting, and she was telling me a lot about how the city is trying to get away from cars and really encourage people more to use bicycles. I love bicycles. Actually, no, I don't love bicycles. That's a lie. But I love bicycle facts. Amsterdam is the bicycle capital of the world. I'm talking more bicycles than people. They have the highest bicycle theft rate in the world, and they also fish out about 20,000 bicycles out of the canals every year. I don't know. I think I just pulled that number out of my butt. I don't know, I'll fact check. Making up facts, yeah. The tattoo artist was also telling me about how many people drown in the canals because they get drunk and go piss in the canals and then fall in. So when you're in Amsterdam, please don't go out and pee into the canals. And if you do, take a friend. That's why women go to the bathroom together. We just don't want to drown in the canals. Facts. That evening, we went on a canal cruise, which was really, really beautiful. Or so I assume. I may or may not have been trying to chat up a boy. Anyway, after that, we went for a very expensive dinner, which was very nice. So after dinner, we went to like this little club, bar, place, but it wasn't quite my vibe, and it wasn't really the vibe of the mates that I actually made that night, thankfully. So we went off and went to a little coffee shop where I watched everybody eat brownies, and that was kind of it. And off we went to go back to the hostel, and after stumbling around for a while, we realized nobody actually knew where we were going, and we were just kind of going, cool, we're going to go to a train station. No one knew where the train stations were.
My pros for Amsterdam are that it's so beautiful, completely unique, and because it's very small and flat, it's very easy to get around on foot. My cons for Amsterdam are that it's very crowded, quite expensive, very small, so there wasn't actually much that I wanted to do there, and it's entirely not my vibe, but I can see how it could appeal to some other people.
The first night in Berlin, we went to the East Side Gallery, which is a section of the Berlin Wall that is still standing. And on the eastern side of the wall, there are a whole bunch of beautiful murals. And on the western side, there's nothing. For those of you who need a crash course on the Cold War and don't know what the Berlin Wall is, here we're gonna condense it really quickly.
Bad history with Bailey.
So after World War II, the Allies got together and they're like, Germany has caused 2 wars now. We're not going to let them rule themselves. So they were like, hey, we should do it. But like France, England, and America were all like, yeah, capitalism, woo-hoo-hoo. And Russia was like, communism. So they weren't really agreeing with each other. So they decided, cool, we'll split Germany halfway. The 3 capitalists would take the western side and the communists would take the eastern side because, I don't know, it was closer to where they each lived. And on the eastern side of Germany is the capital, Berlin. And everybody was like, it's kind of unfair for the Russians to get Berlin. So we're going to go and we're going to split it in half. So that's what they did. And at first everything was hunky-dory. Until the Russians were like, hang on, people want to go live on the western side and not on our side because, you know, economic problems. So they built this really big wall. So they built this big ass wall. And they didn't want the people from East Berlin to go into West Berlin because they didn't want to lose their new population, I suppose, and economic power, and they didn't like capitalism and stuff.
So, yeah, that's why there's pictures on the eastern side. And that's why the Berlin Wall exists. And then it got bashed down. History. On our way home, we walked past this kind of like dodgy looking dude. So we're walking for a while and then I kind of turn over and I see the dude's now kind of walking in the same direction as us. And I'm like, that's weird. So we walk a little bit more and we turn a corner. So we keep kind of going and I said to my friends, guys, I really don't like this dude. And they're like, no, it's fine. Don't worry. Then we keep walking, we go around another corner and I turn around and this dude has now quickened pace. This guy is flat out following us. I'm like, we gotta go. So my one friend and I, we were like, nope, we don't like this. So we started quickening pace even more. The other two, they just chilled. They just walked like nothing was wrong. And I was like, survival of the fittest, my dude. So we started quickening pace even more. Then this dude started running. But it was fine because we could see the hostel. So I'm like, we're at the hostel, we're safe. We walk into the hostel and the dude follows us in. So I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm going to get murdered by like a weird druggie in Germany. What am I going to tell my mom? So I go up to the front desk and I'm like, listen, this guy's been following us for like 3 blocks. And this woman's like, she doesn't know what to do. So she kind of goes up to the dude and like gets him to leave. And that was that. The next day we went on a walking tour of Berlin. I don't remember all that much, except that the tour guide was pretty nice to look at. But we did go to some pretty cool places, like where the university students burnt the books, and also to where Hitler supposedly killed himself. Believe what you want to believe. We also went to the memorial to the murdered Jews of Europe, and that was amazing, absolutely sobering. It was so beautiful. Like, I don't know what other word to actually use to describe it. It was really cold, but like the way the light comes through everything, it's just an absolutely awe-inspiring experience. We then went to Checkpoint Charlie, which, I don't know, not much to it. It's just like a little box and like a board with some information on. there. But then we went to an interesting part of town where they had all of the most incredible street art, like these big murals on the side of the buildings. It was so beautiful. That was actually something that I really liked about Berlin, was there was actually a lot of art. And there's quite a big contrast between the art. You've got what they call German classicism, so they're like Greek-styled statues. They also have like very traditional kind of, I don't know, I want to say like brass statues of important people, I guess. So they have these very traditional statues, but then they have all of these really amazing, quite modern street art murals, which I think is really interesting for a city anywhere, especially a city with so much history. And you've got to bear in mind that a lot of what's in Berlin is new anyway, because everything that existed before World War II got bombed to So yeah, everything's actually pretty modern.
So it's quite interesting to see the comparison of these very traditional, very classic statues, you know, with the juxtaposition then of these beautiful murals and street artworks. I don't know, I just thought that was cool.
My pros for Berlin are currywurst, so good, the awesome art, and it's pretty vibey. Berlin is like the hipster part of Germany. My cons for Berlin are I didn't feel very safe after getting followed. It also feels a little bit dirty, and apparently the construction is like never ending.
So the next day we left Berlin and we were on our way to Prague. So we had a little stopover in Dresden. Now Dresden is beautiful. I love Dresden. Dresden was like one big castle. Next place we arrived was Prague. Now, I love Prague.
I love Prague.
Prague is like stepping into a Disney movie. I felt like I was a Disney princess all the time. It was wonderful. Next time I go to Prague, I am packing a ball gown, just so I can walk through the streets and just spontaneously burst into song. On the first night, a couple of my friends and I ended up just kind of walking around the city, having a little explore. We went and saw the astronomical clock, which is very aptly labeled the most underwhelming tourist attraction in Europe. The next day I went off with my friends to just kind of explore the city, and quite frankly, that was the best day of my entire life. I loved that day. It was amazing. So much so that I actually can't get into it now. I'm just going to have to make an entire video dedicated to my amazing time in Prague.
So we just kind of went around and walked around the city, went to a museum, went to the Prague Castle, went back, kind of, you know, did stuff at the hostel, went swimming, sat in the sauna. I will note that it was -3 degrees out, but we were swimming. It was really a lot of fun, and that evening I ended up actually going out with a friend of mine who would become, I don't know, one of my most favourite people in the world ever. She's great.
I recommend to anybody going to Prague, go to the KGB Museum. The KGB Museum was the third time on my trip that I thought I was going to die, but I survived. So definitely go for the experience. It is so great.
My pros for Prague are that it is super cheap, it is like a fairy tale, and there are loads of museums. I'm talking like 80 museums. My cons for Prague, even though I didn't personally experience these things, are the taxi scams, and then the cash exchanges aren't standardized. So you can be paying very different amounts at different exchanges.
The next day we were leaving Prague to go to Vienna, and we stopped over in Kutná Hora, which is a little town in Czech Republic that is famous for a couple of things. So it's famous for like this really big Gothic church, and it's also famous for the Sedlec ossuary. It's the Bone Church. And this church is so cool. It puts the Paris catacombs to absolute shame. It's kind of like a similar vibe. They've taken the bones and the remains of a whole lot of people and stored them inside this ossuary, which is just mind-boggling.
The final stop was Vienna.
That night in Vienna was my last night in Europe, and it was the perfect end to the perfect trip. It was beautiful. We went to dinner, like a few mates and I went to dinner, and after that we went to like a classical variety show. There was a mini orchestra and opera singers and ballerinas, and it was really, really beautiful. I went back to the hostel and everybody else went to go party. I had an early night. The last day in Vienna was spent with all of the people that I actually got really close with on the trip. We decided to go ice skating at this open air ice rink that we'd seen. And this ice rink was so cool. It's nothing like what I'm used to at home. I mean, I live in a really hot country, so for me, what ice skating is going into one, I don't know, like a giant freezer and skating around like an oval. But this was nothing like that. They'd taken a park and they just put ice there. Mind blown. And we ended off with the Natural History Museum of Vienna, and that was so cool. Definitely highlight of the museum was their animatronic dinosaur. Sick. And then it was time to kind of say goodbye to my friends. We went back to the hostel, I packed up all my things. My friends and I just kind of cried.
My pros for Vienna are Austrians. Austrians are super chatty, they're great. Also, loads of horses, and it's actually really, really beautiful there. My cons for Austria, or rather con, is that it's pretty touristy, so there are a lot of things that are aimed specifically at tourists, so they're really expensive, like the carriage rides.
If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you really like this video and want to see more of it, please hit that subscribe button somewhere down there. And if you have something to say, please leave me a comment. So